Agree. We've talked a lot about the Mariners and the schedule and how tough it's been, and the clubs that they played and the pitching that they've been up against. Well, it changed over for them with San Diego. They did the job in San Diego, winning both of those games. It doesn't change here in Oakland. Oakland has struggled this year for a variety of reasons. They need to take advantage of that. Do they need to sweep them? No, but you'd like to see them win this series, a 4-game series. Go out and win 3 out of 4 and get moving in the right direction before they get to the break.
Mariners 5-1 against the Athletics. They had good fortune here last time they were here in the first road trip to get that part of the season underway. Let's talk about Robinson Cano. If things are going to happen, our Seattle City Light, if things are going to happen, it's got to start with Robinson Cano.
Well, it does, and if you talk to Lloyd McClendon, he will tell you that. Everybody is aware of it. They need him to swing the bat the way that he's capable of, and we've seen glimpses of it over the last couple of weeks. The consistency hasn't quite been there for him, but you could kind of feel that he was starting to get out of it, and your hope that yesterday's game is one of those games that he can build off of. A great day for him, and when he's swinging the bat well, their offense looks easy. It looks easy to score runs and to make things happen. 4 hits for Cano, including a home run, drove in a couple of runs, and then you look at that video, hitting the ball up the middle the other way. That's his strength.
Absolutely. It becomes infectious, too, when you get Cano swinging the bat the way you know that he can. Let's talk about pitching now. Our Lexus pitching matchup, Roenis Elias goes against Scott Kazmir, and Elias has been on a win-loss type of pattern lately.
Well, again, it comes down to fastball command for him, and this is a good offensive club that he's going to face against Oakland. The good news, Oakland is just 4-14 against left-handed starters, so you'd think if he can command his fastball and get to the good changeup, only 2 left-handed hitters in the lineup for Oakland today, that's when you're going to see more of his breaking ball, but it all starts with his fastball command so that he can get to the excellent changeup. As you mentioned, Dave, a little inconsistent as of late. I think it's been his fastball command. If he can do that tonight, I think he can work deep into the game.
It would be a refreshing thought, that's for sure. Scott Kazmir, veteran guy, been around, left-hander. He knows what he's doing out there.
Well, and he's pitched well. His ERA right about 2.7 on the year. But even better than that here at this ballpark. In 8 games here, he has a 1.63. You're going to see a pretty good fastball. It's going to be 91 to 94 miles an hour. Also mixed in a cutter and a changeup. Occasional curveball and slider for Kazmir. I think you have to take something away from him. Get after the fastball early.
All right, so here we go. That's the setup as we begin the back end of this road trip. Mariners 3-2 and trying to improve on that here in Oakland. Good to be in the Bay Area as always. We were just here a few weeks ago to play the Giants and now the Athletics as we look at San Francisco through the Golden Gate Bridge. Glad to have you with us, everybody. Mariners and Athletics first pitch is straight ahead. It's one of the great areas in all of America. As you look at Oracle Arena, that is the home of the world champion Golden State Warriors on the right as we pan left to the O.co Coliseum, where the A's have had glories in the past and in trying to restoke them in these recent times. Right now, they're on hard times, last place in the American League West, and a good chance for the Mariners, a good opportunity to pick on them beginning here tonight for the next 4 games. Welcome, everybody, to Mariner Baseball. Dave Sims along with Mike Flowers and the Root Sports crew. And here's Scott Kazmir leading his A's onto the field. The A's coming off a 15-12 month of June. They had a plus 44 run differential. Starting pitching's been good, but the bullpen has been an issue. Let's take a look at the Mariner batting order that will face the veteran left-hander Scott Kazmir.
Mariner starting lineup brought to you by Chevron. Leading off, it will be Austin Jackson, Robinson Cano. What about his day yesterday against San Diego? 4 for 5 with a double, a home run, and 3 RBIs. That's a good sign for the Mariners. Cruz the DH. He will hit third. Seager, Gutierrez, and Trumbo in the middle of the lineup. Morrison will drop down. He will hit 7th against the left-hander Zunino, and Chris Taylor just called up. He will play shortstop and hit 9th in the Mariners lineup. For Kazmir on the year, 4-5 record, a 2.79 ERA, 85 strikeouts, only 33 walks. Opponents hitting just 226 against the left-hander.
And here we go. First pitch. Sliced down the line. Foul.
First pitch.
For Kazmir, he has all the pitches. His fastball will be 90 to 94 miles an hour. He'll mix in a cutter. His cutter will be 87, and then the changeup at 77. Occasionally a curveball and slider.
Austin Jackson in an 0-2 hole. 63 degrees here in Oakland. Mostly cloudy skies. Here's the 0-2. Don't forget, Mike, you're back in familiar territory. You haven't played with the A's. Just acres and acres of foul territory.
Well, if you're a corner infielder or a corner outfielder, yeah, you definitely cannot give up on the ball. Plenty of room to run into foul territory to make a play. See what Austin Jackson has done on the trip. Having a good trip, hitting .333. Coming off of a good month of June, where he hit .304 for the month.
Lloyd McClendon's talked to you, talked to me about it. Mariners, I think the best win streak so far has been 4. Since Mariners one of the few teams that has not gone on a 5, 6, 7, 8 game win streak. That was a good time to get going. Goes over to Stephen Vogt, and there's one down.
Take a look at the A's, what they have defensively this evening. Brought to you by American Family Insurance. Canna in left field, Burns out in center, Reddick is the right fielder, Laurie at third base, Simeon and Zobrist playing at the middle, Vogt is at first base, and Josh Beckley will do the catching tonight. Oakland A's last in defense in the American League. I think that would be something over the course of the 4 days the Mariners will hopefully be able to take advantage of. Some poor defense by the A's here in the first half of the season.
Here's Robinson Cano batting in a 2-hole here tonight. 247, 5 home runs and 27 runs batted. This one popped up foul. Bob Melvin, the manager of the Athletics. He's got a Manager of the Year title on his resume. 11 games out. Last place in the West. Back up the middle, deflected by Kazmir to the shortstop center. 1-6-3 put out.
Talked about the defense for the A's. Simeon has had a lot of problems, the young shortstop. He's an athletic young man, but 25 errors on the year for him in the first half. Laurie, the third baseman, has 13 to the left side of the infield. Has caused some problems for the A's, and you mentioned the bullpen. They've had issues out in their pen. The A's will put the shift on with Cruz hitting. Zobrist, the second baseman, over on the left side of the infield.
See if the boomstick can get going here tonight. An outstanding first half. Fouls this one back. 7th in hitting at .307 in the American League. 3rd in home runs now with 20. Albert Pujols, how about what he has done? 24 home runs to lead the American League, and Trout right behind him at 21. 1-1 pitch. About that. Kazmir's been with Tampa Bay, the Angels, Cleveland, and now in his second season with Oakland. Here's the 1-2. And weak wave, swing and a miss. Cruz is gone, so the Mariners in the first. Buenos Solis, see what he brings to the table here tonight. Mariners, nothing. The Athletics coming to bat. Buenos Solis on the mound tonight for the Mariners. And let's take a look at the batting order that he'll face from the Oakland Athletics.
Pretty good lineup the Athletics can put together. Starts with Billy Burns at the top of the line at .320 average for him. Also leads the club with 16 stolen bases. Then you have Bo Zobrist is going to be hitting third. The DH, Billy Butler, hitting cleanup. Begley, Josh Reddick, much better year for him than last year. You can say 58 points higher than where he was at this time last year. Laurie, Canna, and Simeon round out the 9 for the A's. For Elias on the year, 4-5 record, a 4.25 ERA. 57 strikeouts over the 72 innings that he has worked. Opponents hitting .253 against him. Good fastball in the low 90s. Curveball around 79 miles an hour, and his changeup at 84.
First pitch fouled off by Billy Burns. American League rookie batting leader at .320. With Iwakuma ready to come off the DL, possibly getting the nod on Monday. You don't want to say that Elias is pitching for his life for this season, but it could be a factor. We'll see how that decision is made. Season throws out Billy Burns for 1 down.
Take a look at the Mariners defense, brought to you by American Family Insurance. Franklin Gutierrez is getting the start in left field. Good numbers against Kazmir. Jackson in center. Trumbo getting the start in right. Seager at third base, and Chris Taylor just called up right into the lineup in at shortstop. Cano and Morrison on the right side of the infield, and Mike Zunino will do the catching tonight. Elias in his last outing, it was not a good one against the Royals, just 3 2/3. Only gave up 5 hits, but 7 earned runs in that one through 60 pitches.
Stephen Vogt, a cult favorite here in Oakland, having a good year.
And for good reason. He can hit. .295 average, 13 home runs for him. See what he's done this year against the Mariners. .333 with the home run. Sorry, Dave.
And I was going to say, he's got his old cheering section out there, and what they're saying is, I believe in Stephen Vogt. I believe in Stephen Vogt.
Bill Bleachers here in Oakland is unique.
Can attest. But what about that? Elias pitching tonight. He's been uneven lately. Kuma coming back. Montgomery,
lights out.
I mean, come on, 2 shutouts, complete game shutouts.
Over his last 18 innings, giving up a total of what, 5 hits?
Right. So I mean, if there was going to be, you hate to say there's going to be an odd man out, but there's certain realities you got to look at.
Well, I think it's important. I think that he's probably aware of that. But The other part about it too is, you know, with Iwakuma, he's had the blister, and so we'll see where he's at and when they can make that decision. But it's going to be difficult, I think, for Lloyd McClendon. But I think for an organization, it's a pretty good problem to have.
Absolutely. How about it, Cano? There's 2 away. We were sorry to see this. She told me the other day life happens, and life happens here in baseball too. Willie Bloomquist, DFA'd. And that was a tough one for Lloyd McClendon to tell the 37-year-old veteran his time was up with this ball club.
Yeah, it was difficult, I know, and all of us, we weren't expecting the move at all, and to see Willie go, it's tough. Especially, I've said it many times, the role that he was in is one of the toughest ones you're going to have, and Willie's carved out a long major league career doing it. I have a feeling that if he wants to continue to play, somebody will pick him up. It's sad to see him leave the ball club.
1-1 to Ben Zobrist. Ben Zobrist is probably a bigger, faster, stronger version of what Willie does, although he's a starter. But I mean, here's a guy.
It's a big advantage. A couple of things. One, he's a switch hitter, and 2, he plays every day.
Right.
That makes it. You know, I guess the thing where they're alike is they can both play a number of positions. And Zobrist play the infield mostly at second base, but he can also play the corner outfield spots.
He's a guy a lot of teams like to have had. Quick 2 outs for Elias, who's got Zobrist swinging a hot bat lately. 4 of his last 6 over his last 2 ball games. 2-2. Elias with wins at Baltimore, at Tampa Bay, at Cleveland. His only home victory is against Houston on the 19th of June. He's averaging about 22,000 fans per ball game. Right now, without the booming organ or the sound effects, it sounds like a library meeting.
Well, it's such a big stadium. As you mentioned, they're not drawing well.
Here's a 3-2 to Zobrist. And he lost it.
3-2 changeup that he missed with.
Well, here's a guy you got to deal with now. Their cleanup guy, Billy Butler. He's picked it up since we saw him last. He's on a 4-game hitting streak, 7 for his last 13 with 6 homers, 36 runs batted in. He's got 13 doubles.
Well, and I think that's a big reason why you see the 3-2 changeup right there to Zobrist. And for Elias, I think that for him, the way that he can get in trouble against this A's club is if he's walking batters. It's a good lineup, but they will make you pay for that. And when you have a hot hitter due up like Butler, sometimes I wish he would just be more aggressive with his fastball. Try to throw a fastball down and away. Better opportunity to throw a strike, but he walked him on the changeup.
A's profile: 5th in batting, 5th in runs scored, 10th in homers, 2nd in hits, 8th in slugging, 5th in on base, 2nd in ERA. And that 2nd in ERA is built largely on what the starters have done.
They run a little bit. 3rd in doubles, 2nd in triples.
Marty Foster, the home plate umpire tonight. Mark Wegner at first, Mike Winters at second, and Mike Malinsky at third. The 4M company.
And one of the other things to consider, they are 5th in stolen bases. They've stolen 48 bases. Been caught only 10 times. That's the least in the American League.
Inside, Butler missed 2-2.
So not only will they run, but they're efficient at it.
And it combined all of that, Bob Melvin's club's 11 games out in the last place.
Defense and pitching, you have to have it, and they have not had it. Again, they are last in fielding, and their bullpen has had a tough time.
That is a fair ball. Zobrist on the move, gets a stop sign from Mike Gallego. He'll hold at third, a 2-out double for Billy Butler. His 14th double.
Well, you mentioned it, Dave. He has been a hot hitter, and we've seen it a lot from Billy Butler over the years when he was with Kansas City, but he hits that right over the bag at third. Wasn't sure if this ball was going to get by the corner down towards the bullpen. That's the way Gutierrez played it in left field, and he played it correctly, because I think that Zobrist, if he hadn't, would have been able to score on the play. In fact, Mike Gallego, the third base coach, held him up late.
The A's threaten 2 outs, 2 on here in the first. Ball 1 to Figlio for his last 10. Elias needs an out. Blocked by Zunino, and that swing and a miss. It bounced up there, 1-1.
The A's on the year hitting .265 with runners in scoring position.
Butler at second, Zobrist at third, and a 1-1 pitch coming here to Josh Phegley, the A's catcher. Oh, 2 strikes. Glenn McClendon with Trent Jewett as bench coach to your left. Let's see if Elias can come up with a money pitch here. Big spot, 1-2 count here to Phegley. Josh Reddick is on deck. Do it again at 1-2. Righty's hitting .248 off of Elias. Left-hander's hitting .270. Here we go, 1-2. Making them work. Got a struggling pitcher. You hate to see him struggle, come out in this first inning and have 2-out difficulty here.
Well, throw a lot of pitches in the first inning. Next pitch will be his 25th.
Two pitch. Down the line. Fair ball. Zobrist scores. Butler right behind him. Digging for 2 is Phegley. He'll get there. 2-0 Athletics as Phegley breaks an 0 for 10. Picks up the 16th RBI, and the A's have an early lead. Served it down the line. RBI 16 and 17 for Josh.
And back-to-back doubles. Butler with the double down the left field line, and then Phegley just dumps this right down the right field line. You talk about the walks hurting you, and I think it's especially true against this club, it seems, over the years, Dave. And go back to it, the 3-2 pitch to Zobrist was a changeup that he missed with.
Here's Reddick. Much better numbers here for Reddick. Here we go. Today, look at that, 229. Oh, 1 to count.
And you can see it, 27 pitches, 16 strikes for Elias.
Balls, he dropped down sidearm. 1-2. Tried it again, missed. 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes. Got a piece it right off the end of the bat.
Well, he's throwing everything that he has, and you can see him changing arm angles to Reddick. He will do that to the left-handed hitters, and the left-handed hitters only. And again, for Oakland, there's 2 left-handed hitters in the lineup. A couple switch hitters in Burns and Zobrist, but 2 lefties. Vogt and Reddick.
A's 2-4 in this 10-game homestand. 0-3 against KC, 2-1 against Colorado. Big 2-2 pitch. Did not go as they check with Mike Malinsky. Count runs full. Brett Lawrie's on deck. Reddick, the 6th man to the plate. They just got up to the good start. Couple of ground outs, Burns and Vogt. The walk to Zobrist. The Butler double to left. 2-run double to right by Fegley. Martinez, Rick Waite, Rich Donnelly, Mariners Brain Trust. Three and 2 here, and the pitch. Did he go? He did go, says Malinsky. Throw to first, inning over. Reddick can't believe it. Mariners will get off the field as soon as possible. 2 runs scored on the Fegley double. 2 runs on 2 hits, no errors, and a man left. An early lead for the Athletics. Here on Root Sports, being brought to you by your local Ford stores. By the Emerald Queen Casino, presenting the Under the Sun Tour with Uncle Cracker, July 25th. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. By Alaska Airlines, enjoy free entertainment on your personal device. Learn more at alaskaair.com. And by Safeco Insurance, find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. The iconic Golden Gate Bridge looking into San Francisco. We're over in Oakland, where the Athletics have a 2-0 lead. Kyle Seager going to lead things off, followed by Franklin Gutierrez and Mark Trimbo, 4, 5, and 6 for the Mariners. Kazmir in the first inning, a couple of ground outs and a strikeout.
Kazmir in the first inning, just 11 pitches, 10 strikes for him, compared to Elias, who had to throw 32 pitches, threw 19 strikes.
Bouncing ball charged by Simeon. And he throws out Kyle Seager for out number 1.
Well, take a look at the usage of Scott Kazmir on the year. See his fastball. 60% of the time, opponents hitting .215 against his fastball. Again, he'll be in the low 90s with it. His curveball doesn't throw it much. Or his slider. His changeup is out pitch. 20% of the time, opponents hitting just 187. He'll also mix in a cut fastball.
Brings up Franklin Gutierrez. 7 for 18, 3 homers against Scott Kazmir. That's strike one. He didn't like that call by Marty Foster. 0-2. Kazmir out of Houston, Texas. 31 years old. Pulls an outside pitch. Simeon throws that Goody 2 away.
5 outs so far. 4 of them ground outs to the shortstop. Another one a strikeout.
Quick 2 outs brings up Mark Trumbo. What have you seen from Trumbo in his struggles?
Inconsistent again, I think. Maybe trying to do too much. We talk about it all the time when you pick up players from other organizations. They come over and they try to do too much. If you look at his numbers when he was with Arizona, really having a fine year. Hitting right around 260, 9 home runs. But since he's shown up here, he struggled a little bit. They need him to get it going, especially against left-handed pitching.
Oh, for his last 9. Two 2-0 on a Josh Fegley double down the right field line. Bottom of the first. Made him reach for an outside pitch, popped up, going back to second baseman Zobrist to make the play. Kazmir's retired the first 6 men that he's faced. He'll return Oakland right after this. Days. We're betting down the hatches. Hey, the balloting blitz, it continues to get Nelson Cruz to the All-Star game. The polls currently have the Mariners slugger at the top of the DH category. Make sure you help him keep that lead by voting for Nelson up to 35 times at Mariners.com. Hurry, the voting's going to end tonight at 8:59 Pacific. And again, vote Cruz at Mariners.com.
Nelson hitting his 20th home run here in the first half in yesterday's ball game.
Laurie the hitter, and Elias is ahead of him quickly, 0-2. Bottom third of the order. Laurie, Canna, and Simeon. Easy play for Morrison, and there's one away. A walk and a strikeout and a 2-run double in the first inning given up by Elias. Brings up Mark Canna.
And that was after getting the first 2 hitters out, a couple of ground ball outs, and then it was the walk on a 3-2 pitch. The hot hitting Billy Butler with the double down in the corner. And Fegley ends up picking up a couple of RBIs.
Left fielder Mark Canna, comebacker. A quick 2 outs. Let's take a look at our Delta Airlines Keep Climbing standings. A's at the bottom, and the Mariners only a game and a half ahead, and trying to improve on that this weekend. Texas within reach. Angels aren't that far out ahead. How about the turmoil down there? Jerry DiPoto out. Mike Scioscia wins that battle.
Well, no surprise there, is it? I didn't think there was.
Final, I wasn't that Mike won,
right,
given what we know, the relationship that he has with Artie Moreno. That didn't surprise me. Bull speaking up the other day, too.
That had a lot to do with it as well.
Marcus Simeon, the shortstop. Hurt the Mariners in the first couple of outings. This is a long foul ball.
Young player, we talked about his issues in the field so far here in the first half of the season, but he's held his own at the plate. Comes into the game hitting .258 with 6 home runs.
Mariners won 2 out of 3 in the first road trip here. And then Oakland came to Seattle 8, 9, and 10 of May, and the Mariners took all 3 of those games. So our second visit here, the next and final visit to Oakland, September 4, 5, 6. In the interim, this one hit foul. In the interim, Oakland will be in Seattle August 24, 25, 26. Did not go as a check with Mark Wegner. 2-2. Simeon batting out of the 9-hole. Line drive right to Goody, and a much more efficient inning for Mr. Elias. On 2-3 go the A's, who lead 2-0. this date in MLB history. Joseph Paul DiMaggio gets a hit in his 46th consecutive game. Breaks Wee Willie Keeler's major league mark. Of course, Joe D would take it to 56. Longest streak so far this season. Jason Kipnis of the Tribe, the Indians' second baseman, and a good one at 20. Speaking of streaks, Mr. Kazmir has retired the first 6 men he's faced. Logan Morrison, Mike Zunino, and Chris Taylor coming up here in the third.
Well, he's done it on 19 pitches, 17 of those for strikes. So now 20 pitches, 18 strikes from Kazmir. He's locked in here early in the ball game. The A's have the shift on with Logan hitting.
Broken bat ground ball charged by Zobrist. And he throws out Momo, 1 away. 7 in a row retired. Balloting blitz. It continues to get Nelson Cruz to the All-Star game. The polls currently have him as the top DH. So help him keep that lead. Vote up to 35 times for Nelly at Mariners.com. Hurry, voting's going to end shortly at 8:59 Pacific. Again, vote Cruz at Mariners.com. Here's your voting right now. Still a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Kansas City Royals out there. Josh Donaldson taking over third. Infante, again, good player, but a whole bunch out of second baseman.
Just showed Kipnis one of them. Morris Altuve another.
Nelly DHing tonight. Nino fouls that one off. It's both of them. Left ankle. That has to hurt. Here's a 1-1. Nine homers, 18 runs batted in for Mike, but hitting just 165. Mile high pop, and it's playable. In foul territory, that's Stephen Vogt making the play. First 8 men have been retired by Scott Kazmir. Brings up Chris Taylor. Back with the ball club with Willie Blomquist designated for assignment. Taylor in his earlier stint hitting 159 in 20 games at the Mariners.
One of the things we talked about at the start of the game was trying to take Kazmir's fastball away from him early in counts, and the Mariners have been aggressive. Unfortunately, they're not able to put it in play. Fouling that first pitch fastball off.
0-1 to Chris. Ball 1. Blomquist designated for assignment. Taylor recalled from Tacoma. Move effective today. Brett Miller will continue to see the bulk of his time, not all of his time, at shortstop. He is swinging the bat pretty well lately. There's some occasion in the second half, according to Lloyd McClendon. Cano will get some DH duties and slide Taylor in at second base. There's Brad. Miller hitting at 238. He's got 7 homers, 7 stolen bases. He's got 3 triples and 22 runs batted in. 2-2 here to Taylor. Ball looked like it was a screwball the way it came up there. Kazmir deals 3-2. Bouncing ball comes right back to him. He's gone through the order, made it a close play. Just Taylor some good hustle out of the gate, but Kazmir has retired the first 9 men that he's faced here in Oakland. This calendar brought to you by Sleep Country USA. Weekend series here through the 4th of July weekend. Then we come home. 3 with Detroit, 4 with the Angels. Then it's the All-Star break. All-Star game in Cincy. And then the Mariners open up the second half of the season against the Yankees. Then head on to Detroit. Next thing you know, the month of July will be gone.
You surprised that the Tigers are at 500?
Very much so. Very much so. Billy Burns, the hitter.
I'll tell you somebody who's having a pretty good year that not many people are talking about is J.D. Martinez. 21 home runs.
Yeah, buddy.
For the Tigers.
Couldn't get arrested in Houston, huh?
I don't know what happened.
He goes up there. What was it? The second half, last 2/3 of last season. Man, he was ridiculous. Very productive.
A lot of power to right center field.
I saw an interview with him recently where he talked about being around Cabrera, talking to him. Been a big influence. Oh, a nice play by Taylor. And, now he's done such a better job staying up the middle and right side. Boy, is it paying off.
See, Ali has 46 pitches for him, 30 strikes so far. I think for Lloyd McClendon and his club, we talked about it, taking care of their business in San Diego. The A's have also struggled. You'd like to see them win this series. Then you have the Tigers, who are at 500. Schedule's turned a little bit for them. They played a lot of quality clubs against some good pitching, and things have turned a little bit. Although the Oakland starters are good starters, their bullpen is where they've had their issues. And now is when you really like to see them start to make up some ground on getting back to 500 before they get into the break.
Amen. Fastball, strike to vote, 1-1. Two and one. Really latched on to this young man. Again, last season at AAA Sacramento, came up around June 1 to the big club. 279, 9 homers, 35 runs batted in 84 games. Good pitch by Elias to strike him out. 2 outs here in the third, second K for Elias.
I think it was the fastball earlier in the count when he dropped down and threw the fastball away for a ball. He drops down, same arm angle, but he throws him the curveball at 79 miles an hour, and you can see how far in front Bo was on that pitch. Really wasn't close to it.
There's Zobrist, walked and scored in the first inning. One to count. Found a nice little rhythm here after that rocky first inning. He's retired the last 6 men. Been a little inconsistent here. When he's been good, he's been real good, and when not, well, been problems. Just 60 pitches in his last start. Going through the first 3 innings in good shape, and boy, then that 4th inning, they pulled the rug out from him. Down to the bullpen. Elias, get out of this. Get it back to the offense. It's time to get going, boys, because Scott Kesner's retired the first 9, and I don't think there's been a hard hit ball yet. Count stays 2-2. Pitch to Zobrist. Wouldn't bite. Full count. Went full count with him last time. Billy Butler on deck.
You're right. 2 outs in the first inning. Ended up walking him on a 3-2 changeup. And that's when the trouble came. Billy Butler waiting on deck, hit a double down the left field line. So we'll see what Elias is going to do right here.
Big pitch at 3-2. Struck him out. Good action on that breaking ball by Elias. His 3rd strikeout. And he's retired. The last 7 that he's faced, but he trails 2-0. Like seeing that. Right now, let's take a look at our Arco top-tier performer. And hats off to Mike Montgomery, joined some esteemed company here with Steve Rogers. What a good pitcher he was with the Expos. Bert Hooton had some great years. Dodgers and the Cubs. Talking about quickest 2 consecutive shutouts in a big league career. Good work.
I really thought Mike in his last outing was going to get the no-hitter. He looked as if he was going to no-hit the Padres. Ended up giving up just the 1 hit, but did get the shutout. Really pitched well.
Time for some bats, boys. Top four. Kazmir has retired the first 9 men that he's faced. Back to the top of the order in Austin Jackson.
Same thing happened yesterday with James Shields. He was perfect through the first 3 innings, and the Mariners picked up a couple of hits in the 4th. Eventually, they ended up winning the ball game, scoring 7 runs. So hopefully that will be the case again tonight.
Jackson, first time up, he grounded out to short. One pitch. Foul back. What makes Kazmir, particularly tonight, what makes him so tough?
Well, there's a couple of things. One, he still has a pretty good fastball. He used to be in that 95-mile-an-hour range, but it still jumps on you a little bit. But I think his cutter is a big pitch for him to get in on your hands, and that sets up the good changeup, which is what we've seen tonight. His changeup has been the pitch that has caused problems. Good fastball there at 94. And he's pitched really well here at home this year in his last outing. Gave up 3 earned runs to Kansas City, pitched 7 innings, lost the ball game 3-2, but he's pitched well here at home.
2-2. Full count.
In fact, here at home, he had 9 starts where he's given up 3 runs or less. And at one point, he had his ERA here at a 1.27. Is now at a 1.63. So he's really pitched well here at home. But I think his cutter in on the hands and then going to the changeup is the problem.
3-2, and he could not check that swing. Second strikeout for Kazmir. 10 consecutive. Retired right out of the box. Felix, Nelson, and the Mariners, they square off against Justin Verlander, Miguel Cabrera, and the Tigers in a 3-game set. That starts Monday. Wednesday the 8th, join us for Mariners Matinee. Special afternoon start time, 12:40. Tickets at mariners.com.
And again, with his numbers here at home, it hasn't just been against the Mariners this evening. He's been pretty consistent here at home. And you saw the cutter to Jackson. He ends up striking out. And what that does getting in there is, as a hitter, you feel that you have to rush to try to get to it. And it speeds you up. And anytime you start to cheat a little bit, his timing on throwing his changeup has been excellent. And when he throws that changeup in there, you're well out in front of it. And he's kept it down.
There's a key factor.
Well, that's why he has all the ground ball outs. And you can see the numbers home and road right there, and the difference for him, how much better he has been here at home.
Stark. Cano grounded out first time. Grounded out to short. All right, going with the pants buckled just below the knee. Why not?
How do you think he was wearing them yesterday when he went 4 for 5 with the home run?
They were up.
They were up.
Here's the 1-2. Two and 2 to Robbie. There's one question I get all the time. What is up with Robinson Cano? I'm sure you get it too. That is a foul ball.
I do. And we've talked about it a bunch with him and some of the mechanical issues he was having early in the season that was causing him problems with his timing. It seems that they've been able to work that out. Now it's just a matter of being more consistent on a daily basis. And you mentioned his numbers many times, Dave, on what he's done in the second half. He's typically been a much better hitter in the second half, and I think as a club you have to hope that he's going to be even better than that to get his numbers where they would normally be.
In other words, you're saying you'll sign up for 340 in the second half?
I would like to see that. Really, when he has a good night at the plate, it makes their offense look so much easier. They score runs. Things are so much better when he's going, and they just need to see it more often. Let's take a look at Edgar Martinez.
Got a line into the bullpen. This ball club needs a jolt of positive current going through it. 8th pitch coming up.
No, you're absolutely right, especially with the way that they've been pitching lately. The pitching of both the starters and the bullpen really pitched well. And you'd like to take advantage of that.
2-2. Struck him out. Tag applied by Fegley. Back-to-back Ks here.
We'll take a look at it. Off-speed pitch. Only 83 miles an hour. Little slider. He rarely throws that pitch.
First 11 retired. Cruz a strikeout victim on a 1-2 pitch.
And the A's will put the shift on again with Cruz hitting. So Zobrist, the second baseman on the left side of the infield.
2-0 on Josh Fegley's 2-run double down the right field line in the first inning for the Athletics. First pitch strike. It's ahead 0-2.
Just two perfect pitches with his fastball. The first one right on the inside corner, that one just off the outside corner. He really has been in command, throwing a lot of strikes.
2 to Cruz. Got him. Perfect being the operative word through 4. That's what Scott Kazmir is. 2-0 Athletics. Edgy, thank you very much. Billy Butler leads off. Elias is retired the last 7 men he's faced, but he's in a deficit, down 2-0. 2-out, 2-run double in the first by Josh Fegley. Fegley's on deck. Butler with the double on a 2-2 pitch in the first. Elias has struck out 3 and walked 1, and that walk did come around the score. Whole country breakfast, Billy Butler.
And as hot as he has been, as you mentioned, Dave, he doubled his first time behind in the count 2-0, and he threw him a fastball at 90 miles an hour right in the middle of the plate, and you could see Billy coming out of his shoes.
He certainly did. Good grief. Well, that thing was cut.
Pretty good changeup right there.
Billy yesterday picking up his 5th career triple. Sure the boys were wearing him out on that one. Had the oxygen ready for him. Long foul ball. Philly winner of the Hutch Award a few years ago. Outstanding humanitarian. Doesn't cheat himself here. Looks like he's crouched down more than we've seen in the last few years. Breaking the ball.
I would agree. He's definitely deeper into his legs. Well, we talk about it all the time. Major league hitters, they're constantly making adjustments, and some of them are minor. For Billy, you're probably right. A little minor adjustment, but you can see what he's done over the last 5 games.
Worked out rather well. A little more spread, too. Down to Seager, nice friendly hop. Time now for CenturyLink What's Next. Series continues tomorrow. Jay Happ against Jesse Chavez. Saturday, Felix never misses a turn against the Athletics, right?
It seems that way.
That was against Kendall Graveman. And then Sunday, Mike Montgomery against still to be announced starter.
There's Felix. So the A's are going to see 3 left-handed pitchers in this series. And again, against left-handed starters this year, they're only 4-14.
It's been their kryptonite. Got to take advantage. Begley doubled down the right field line. Here's Mike Montgomery having a great run. Back-to-back late game shutouts. Possibility that we'll see Sonny Gray on Sunday. Had a virus and was KO'd for a few days, and so he's out of the hospital. And there's strikeout victim number 4 for Elias as Begley goes down swinging. 2 away here in the 4th.
Made quick work of him and ends up putting him away with a nice elevated fastball. 0-2 count. Throw it up out of the strike zone, see if you can get him to chase it, and that time it worked for Elias. Good pitch.
A nice job settling down here. 37, make that 32 pitches. 6 men to the plate in the first inning. And since then, he's retired the last 9 men. You mentioned the A's are not drawing a lot tonight, an announced crowd of 13,062. 1-1 to Reddick. Reyes in a nice little run here. 9 consecutive retired. He struck out 3 of the last 4. Strike 2, 2-2. To Reddick, dropped down on him, pulled foul. Ty Waller fielded. Really good guys in this staff from Chicago Cub. Two and 2. Big bender missed. No count. Brett Laurie's on deck.
You can see from Elias on those last 2 curveballs, both of them curveballs, but because of his arm angle, the action you get from him is different. When he's over the top, it's more of a 12-6 curveball, and when he drops down, you can see it'll sweep across the plate more like that one.
That certainly froze Reddick. Did not like the call of Marty Foster. That's a 5th strikeout. 10th man retired by Elias, who trails 2-0. Baseball, Dave Sims and Mike Flowers. We take a look at our Columbia Bank difference of the ball game. Take it back to Josh Fegley. Got a pitch way out in front.
Now with 2 strikes, and he ends up dumping it down the right field line. But with 2 outs, he drives in 2 runs, and that is the difference in the game so far.
Meanwhile, Mr. Scott Kazmir, perfect through 4. 12 up, 12 down. He struck out the side in the 4th. Total of 4 strikeouts. Here's Kyle Seager. Seager bounced out to short in his first at bat. He's pumping strikes.
And they're quality strikes as you take a look at the EQC tracer. One at the bottom of the strike zone, one right on the outside corner. 50 pitches, 38 strikes. He's only thrown 12 balls so far in the ball game.
One, 2. Seager, Gutierrez, and Trumbo. 4, 5, and 6 here for the Mariners in the 5th inning.
And even though he threw a ball right there, he did that on purpose. Ahead 0-2, throwing the breaking ball in the dirt, trying to get Kyle to chase it.
1-2 pitch. Backed him off. 2-2. Zobrist. The outfield grass at second, and a swing and a miss. 4 consecutive strikeouts. 13 consecutive retired by Kazmir right out of the box. Stick around after the game for Mariners postgame. It's presented by Delta Airlines. Kazmir having a night.
5 strikeouts, Dave, and all of them swinging.
See if Goody can change this. He grounded out the shortstop. First pitch strike again. He was doing a nice job changing elevations and changing speeds. It's impressive.
Well, and the other part about it that makes it difficult is even when he misses, as he did on that last pitch, it is a razor's edge. He is all around the edges of the plate.
1-1.
Good cut fastball. He starts him off with a changeup away, then he throws the fastball away, and then he comes back with the cutter in on his hands, and that's what we're talking about. That cutter, that pitch right there, trying to speed him up, and then he'll usually come back with his changeup or the breaking ball down.
It's a double by Fegley. Both pitchers, Elias and Kazmir, have retired. 23 up, 23 down. Goody down the line. Fair ball. That'll break it up. Extra bases for Goody. He'll hold at second. With a 1-out double here in the 5th, his first extra base hit. That ends a run of 13 consecutive retired from the get-go.
And pretty good hitting. This is a good fastball, 94 miles an hour on the outside corner. And Franklin goes with it, able to keep it fair down the right field line.
He was well aware of what he was doing. Needed to see that. Trumbo get tied up. Who's in?
It'll be a welcome sight for the Mariners to get him hot, get him moving in the right direction.
First time up for Mark, popped out to the second baseman, Ben Zobrist. Strike 1 to Mark. Looking to break an 0 for 10. Gutierrez, good speed at second base. go 0-1.
I think the surprising thing with Mark is, as you mentioned, he's struggled, but home run hitters typically they're hot and cold. They go back and forth as you take a look at the pitch count for Kazmir. But now 74 at bats and he has just the 1 home run. And with his type of power, I would think that even if he was struggling with his average, that he'd hit the ball out of the ballpark a little bit more. But it just hasn't happened for him.
You mentioned now's as good a time as any.
We're all in with you, Dave.
Man, oh man, let's get some offense going. Two nothing lead. Josh Phegley, 2-run double. Mariners threaten here. Way out front.
He was just cheating right there, thinking he was going to get a fastball, and that was one of the worst changeups that Kazmir has thrown. 76 miles up, well off the plate away. So he was just guessing that he was going to get the cutter, trying to get out in front of it.
Two and two count. Kazmir deals. Dang, got him fishing. Yikes. 2 away. That's a 6th strikeout for Kazmir.
Take a look at how far off the plate that last changeup is. That gives you an idea. Mark right now just not seeing the ball very well. That is well off the plate. So he's not picking up the baseball right now. Makes this a tough game.
Here's Lomo. Grounded out to second. First time up. 2 for his last 8. Ball 1. The end of the bat. His ability to throw that off-speed pitch almost any time, at any count, and any location has been tremendous.
And again, it is the location of it. It's not as if he's made some mistakes with it and left it up and in the middle of the plate where it's a lot easier for the guys to handle. Even that last one, that little breaking ball, right on the outside corner and at the knees. He's locked in.
1-1 to Logan.
Which tells you the few mistakes that he's going to make, you better take advantage of it.
Big shift on for Lomo. 1-1 pitch. Broken bat, ground ball, same thing he did last time. And Morrison is thrown out by Zobrist. Well, the perfecto's broken up. He's got a 1-hit shutout now, 2-0 A's. Root Sports is brought to you by BNSF Railway, sponsor of the BNSF Blast. A gorgeous sunset here in the Bay Area. Good to have you with us here in Mariner Baseball. Dave Sims, Mike Flowers, and the Root Sports crew. That is just spectacular. Somebody give me a screenshot of that. Save it for me. That's gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. Score's not beautiful right now. 2-0 Athletics. On Josh Fegley's 2-out, 2-run first inning double. Brett Laurie leads it off here, followed by Mark Canha and Marcus Semien. Elias struck out 4 of the last 5 men that he's faced, retired 10 consecutive batters now after that rocky first inning. Laurie coming over from Toronto, and the deal that sent Josh Donaldson to the Blue Jays. Donaldson, an all-star performer, just another big bat in that formidable offense. Their offense is just terrific.
Well, it has been this year.
Man.
Third in average, first in runs scored, second in home runs, first in doubles. Go down the list. First in slugging, second on base percentage.
The other day, saw your boy Edwin Encarnacion do more damage again.
He doesn't hit any cheap ones either.
No, he doesn't. We'll see the Blue Jays swing and a miss. We'll see the Blue Jays later on this month, 24, 25, 26, back home in Seattle. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners. How about Elias now? That's 6 strikeouts. 5 of the last, what's that? 5 of the last 6. That's pretty doggone good. 5 of the last 7. He's retired.
Well, especially after the first inning. He had to throw 32 pitches in the first inning. Gave up the 2 runs.
Right the first time. 5 out of the last 6. He's Cade. There's Canha. Going foul. Oh, and 2 to Canha. He had a comebacker to Elias in his first at bat. Consecutive retired by Elias. 1-0 against the A's. 3.18 ERA. And 2 starts, both of them, right here at O.Co Coliseum last season. The 0-2. Ball 1. Got off to a big start first couple of weeks of the season. Two and 2. Four games here, 3 with Detroit, 4 with the Angels, then the All-Star break is upon us. Today is game number 79. For the Mariners. Taylor stays with it. Well played. 2 away. Keep your eye on the bus. Follow us from a safe distance on Twitter at Sound Transit.
Now ready. Shortstop, number 10, Marcus Semien.
So a nice dozen for Elias. Last dozen men he's retired. Marcus Semien lined out to Goody and left.
We'll see how long Lloyd is going to go with him. Obviously, the bullpen is going to get some work tonight. This next pitch will be 90 for Elias. I think as you look at not only this game, Dave, but this series, You look right at the weaknesses for the A's, and it's been their bullpen and their defense. And I thought it was important for the pitching staff to keep the score down and keep your club in the game until you get the starter out. This ball's hit well.
Yes, it is. Left field, gone. 3-0 A's. Simeon's 7th homer, 19th run batted in. That ends a string of 12 consecutive hitters retired by Elias. 10th home run given up to a right-hand hitter. We saw this kid earlier. He could swing the bat. He might have been a little shaky earlier in the field, early in the season, but he can swing it.
No, he's definitely held his own. And we'll take a look to see where Mike Zunino set up on this fastball. Take a look at it more towards the outside corner, and Elias, it's middle in and down. Just dropped the barrel to it, lined it over the fence in left field. It was just a matter of whether it was going to be high enough, and it was. Elias now at 91 pitches, but you have to keep them close so that you can take advantage of the bullpen and the defense.
Breaking ball, strike to Billy Burns, 0 for 2, ground out to third, ground out to short.
Problem with that tonight is now Kazmir with a 3-run lead. He's been efficient with his pitches. There was just one hit off of him, the double by Gutierrez.
Kazmir was perfect through the first 13 men that he faced. Simeon with his 7th home run. 0-2 pitch. Got him chase it. That'll do it. Some damage done by Simeon with the home run. And that A's lead now is 3-0. Angie, thank you very much. We've got Mike Zunino leading off here in the top of the 6th. 3-0 Athletics. Breaking ball, another first pitch strike by Scott Kazmir, who struck out 6, hasn't walked anybody, was perfect through the first 13. Zunino, Taylor, and Austin Jackson here in the 6th. Don't forget, you got 25 minutes still remaining on the clock to get your vote in. Nelson Cruz is the DH for the American League in the All-Star game. 2-1. Count here from Mike at 3 balls and 1 strike. Chris Taylor's on deck. Full count. Strike 3 called. It's a 7th K. Hung up by Kazmir as we take a look at the T-Mobile game changer. Kazmir tonight has been dealing, Mike.
Well, we talked about not only tonight, but in this ballpark for the season. He came into the game with a 1.63 ERA here at home. And he's trying to build on that. A lot of strikeouts for him tonight. Been really good with his breaking ball and his changeup. Cutter has been a problem. Was a changeup to Trumbo.
Taylor fouls one off. Chris bounced back to Kazmir in his first at bat. Just called up today. Willie Bloomquist designated for assignment. Taylor takes his place in the roster. One on one. Taylor was having a sensational month of March and then got hit on the hand in a spring training game and missed a lot of time. Basically ceded the shortstop gig to Brad Miller as Laurie throws him out 2-away. Top of the order, Austin Jackson. One hit tonight by the Mariners. Franklin Gutierrez, a 5th inning 1-out double down the right field line.
It's been the only base runner for the Mariners. He hasn't walked anybody tonight.
Ball 1. Austin tonight ran out to short and strikeout. That is foul.
And unfortunately for the Mariners, as it sits right now, his pitch count in great shape. Just 77 pitches with 2 outs here in the 6th.
I think this guy was pitching an independent ball back in 2012. Originally drafted by the Mets, and if you go to New York and mention his name, you're not going to get a very friendly response from Mets fans. Let this guy go. Austin Jackson battling 2-2. Look at that little cutie, just having some fun, huh? Doing some work on those nachos. Hit off the end of the bat right at Benzos. My goodness. Scott Kazmir has been sensational tonight. There's 1, 2, 3 in the 6th. He's got a 1-hit shutout. on Root Sports, being brought to you by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. By Money Tree, proud to make a donation to Mariners Care for every Mariners win. By Jack in the Box, taste the new black pepper cheeseburger today only at Jack in the Box. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. The night upon us here in the Bay Area. Good to have you with us here in Mariner Baseball. Right now the Mariners and Roenis Elias trail 3-0. Scott Kazmir is throwing a masterpiece, a one-hit shutout. Stephen Vogt, Ben Zobrist, and Billy Butler, 2-3-4 here against Elias. Taylor takes his time and gets a hustling Vogt by about a step.
I think Taylor out of shortstop had to make a quick adjustment. Vogt, when he hit the ball, a little inside-out swing, it sliced on him a little bit. He had to reach back to his right to pick it up, and then took him a little bit of time to get a grip on the baseball, but fortunately for him, he has a strong throwing arm. You take a look at it, little slicing line drive. He started back up the middle, and right there, to make an adjustment. Sometimes you don't get the four seams right away, and you have to spin the ball in your hand again, and I think that's what Chris ended up doing. Fortunately, again, strong throwing arm for him at short. Good play.
Ben Zobrist, the walk, run scored, and a strikeout. Two runs in the first on a Fegley 2-out double down the right field line. Then in the fifth inning with 2 outs, a solo blast by Marcus Semien for the 3 Oakland runs.
And this next pitch will be 100 for Elias. Nobody throwing in the Mariner bullpen. Lloyd McClendon wants to get him through this inning.
Count evens at 2-2. Gets fouled off. Two and two to the versatile Ben Zobrist. Walk that off.
And for Elias this year, his season high is 105 pitches. So he's certainly going to go past that tonight. And nobody getting loose in the Mariner pen.
Texas won at Baltimore tonight, 2-0. Throws out Zobrist, 2 away. Where with the pros wear and pick up the Stars and Stripes Diamond Era on-field cap. Mariners will be donning this cap on the 4th of July, and you can too when you purchase the special edition cap at any of the 5 Mariners team store locations. Good looking cap. Quick 2 outs brings up Billy Butler. Double and a ground out to third. Seager's going to throw him out again. Was picked by Lomo at first. Economical and efficient inning by Roenis Elias in the 6th. He trails 3-0. Calendars for Saturday, July 11th. For Nelson Cruz, bobblehead night. The home run hitter makes his Mariner bobblehead debut thanks to Root Sports. This collectible of the boomstick himself is free to the first 20,000 fans. For tickets, visit mariners.com. You know, when you're at school or you pass a fire alarm in case of emergency, break glass. Somebody needs to break glass. Let's go.
You're going to be in the middle of the lineup, so hopefully this is it. Third time through the lineup for the Mariners.
Robbie tonight, ground out to short and strikeout. One hit tonight for the Mariners. Goody, a one-out double down the right field line, fifth inning.
Well, fortunately for Elias tonight, the A's just have 3 hits, but they've made them count.
Right? I mean, he's pitched well.
No, he's pitched well tonight. He gave up the solo home run, and then he had the walk, the double, and the double, and that's been it.
And then one run where he retired 12 consecutive hitters. Outside to Cano.
That's what he's done so far. 6 innings, just 3 hits, 1 walk. That walk did score. He had 7 strikeouts, 104 pitches for him, 69 strikes.
John Thompson warming up. Robbie did not like the call. There have been a lot of guys dissatisfied with some of the strike zone featured by Marty Foster. This big time. No, Cruz and Seager, 2-3-4 here for the Mariners against Scott Kazmir, drawing up 7 strikeouts, hasn't walked anybody. Full count. Cano, over the course of his previous meetings with Kazmir, has 3 home runs among his 9 hits. So looking Cruz on deck. 3-0 Oakland lead. 3-2 pitch. Backhanded by Zobrist. Goes out the Mariners second baseman, 1 away.
Number 23, Nelson Cruz.
Home runs off of fastballs. Right field, backing up Reddick with room. 2 outs.
Well, Kazmir just at 87 pitches with 2 outs here in the 7th. His season high is 111.
CenturyLink, what's next? Tomorrow's starters. Coverage begins at 5:30. Jay Happ against Jesse Chavez.
Pretty good sinker slider combination from Chavez. Started the season in the bullpen, now in the rotation.
Chavez 0-3 with a 3.03 ERA against the Mariners in 4 starts. Kyle Seager, strike 1. Jay Happ is 2-0 against Oakland with a 1.42. Guile tonight, ground out to short and a strikeout. Reddick giving ground into the gap. Got room as the center fielder comes over. Burns kept looking at each other, and Burns finally made the decision to take it. Mariners retired in order in the 7th. 3-0 Athletics. Stretching your mind as you consider how a Washington's lottery win would change your bucket list. Play today. Looking southeast on Columbus Avenue towards the Transamerica building, the House of Nanking. I think that might even be it over on the right. Here's what you're having, and it's great Chinese food. Love that place. They have our road favorites, and that happens to be one of mine. It's an easy walk from the hotel through Chinatown. You get to see all the beautiful things that part of San Francisco. Big Tom Wilhelmsen takes over. Elias, he acquitted himself quite nicely. Just didn't get any run support.
Kind of a strange outing for him, but for Tom, his 22nd appearance, ERA right at 4.5, 28 strikeouts in the 24 innings that he has worked. Good fastball, will be in the mid-90s, 12-6 curveball, changeup.
Josh Fegley to lead it off.
We'll take a look at Elias and what he was able to do tonight. He went 6 innings, just 3 hits. Again, just 3 hits, 3 runs. All of them are in the one walk. That walk scored. He did strike out 7 batters, 104 pitches, 69 of those for strikes.
What a one to Fegley. 2-run double, 2 outs in the first. 4th inning, strikeout. Victim on 3 pitches. One popped up. Cano's under it. 1 out.
We'll take a look at Tom. Opponents by pitch. His fastball can hit around a little bit. You can see the 400 average, but his breaking ball has been excellent at 162. Changeup 251 batting average against.
That high number on the fastball, product of location.
Yes, sir. Or falling behind and then throwing the pitch more on the plate to where they can take advantage of it. Tom has a good fastball. Again, it's in the mid-90s, and if you're going to catch up to it, I think more times than not, you have to either guess right, cheat a little bit, and when you have the count in your favor, that certainly helps.
Two to Reddick. Josh Reddick tonight struck out swinging and looking. Tom 3-0 in the hole here. Reddick 0 for 7 against Tom. Brett Laurie awaits. Two runs in the first for the A's and another in the 5th. That's it. Mariners have been held to 1 hit. Goody doubled down the right field line in the 5th. Tom's battled back to a full count.
And Tom was behind 3-1. Quality pitch with his fastball, 94 right on the outside corner.
Nobody on here in the bottom of the 7th. Breaking ball gets by Logan Morrison. Good base hit. So 1 out, 1 on in the 7th brings up Brett Laurie.
And then we'll take a look at it. The breaking ball. Logan playing close to the line at first as that one gets right underneath his glove. More times than not, when you see these guys diving for the baseball, if it's within their reach and they don't come up with it, as we look at our Alaska Supermo and the diving effort, it will be because it goes underneath their glove. Tough to get their glove down to the ground when they're diving.
Oh, look at the turn that ball took. Ooh, he got him. Man, that was close. Gutsy play by Lomo.
Well, I'm not sure if it was the only play that he may have had. And again, Reddick, Understand why he's not sliding to get into second base and not overrun. You have to slow down going into it, and Logan able to take advantage of it. We've talked about his arm. For a first baseman, he has one of the stronger throwing arms that you're going to get. And take a look at it. He comes up and fires. No hesitation at all. Another key.
Now batting the fielders.
And that's a mistake by Reddick. You can see him slow down.
Yep.
If you don't slow down, you're going to overrun the base, and that helped out Logan right there and Tom.
Given the way that ball was moving, and as I looked up, I'm assuming he's going to get down. Next thing you know, the ball's there, and it beats him. That's legit. Marcana 0 for 2. Runner goes, and Zunino on the transfer can't hold it. Stolen base for Laurie. Brett Laurie with his 4th stolen base.
One of the things offensively the A's have done well this year. Again, they are 5th in the American League in stolen bases. With that stolen base, they are now 49 out of 59 attempts.
1-1, McKenna. Ball 2.
Pretty good pitch. You can see our EQC tracer on that breaking ball is right there at the knees in the middle of the plate.
2 outs and a man at second. Brett Laurie, and a 2-1 count here. McKenna.
Joe Beimel getting loose in the pen for the Mariners.
Pretty well. A lot of running room for Jackson. Can't get it. Hits off the fence and eludes him. Canna digging for 3. Here's a throw. Not in time as it's cut off by Cano. 4-0. Oakland. Canna with a triple. And for Marcus, first triple of the season. RBI number 28.
And this is on the fastball, 95 miles an hour as he barrels it up. It's going to hit right in the middle of the fence, center field.
Number 10, Marcus Simeon.
Here's Simeon. Looks at a strike. Homered on a 2-1 pitch off of Elias. 2 outs, nobody on in the 5th.
The A's have not had many opportunities tonight, but they've made the most of them. 2 for 3 with runners in scoring position.
A triple. First career triple for young Mark Canna. A 1-1 count here to Simeon. Great stop by Zunino. 2-1. Beimel heating up. Fly ball left field, backing up Goody, but he's under it. Makes the play. A run on 2 hits, no errors, a man left. 4-0 Athletics.
Ramos.
Oh, that's for sure, Angie. As we go to the 8th inning, Goody, Trumbo, and Morrison have been one hit by Scott Kazmir as we start the 8th. Goody's got the only hit, a one-out double to right field in the 5th inning as Sam Fold takes over in left field for Mark Canha.
Seen tonight, Dave, is what Kazmir has done this year. Talked about it coming into the game, a 2.79 ERA, a 1.63 ERA here at home. In 15 starts, he's given up more than 3 runs just one time. That's how consistent he has been this year. Goody with both the hits for the Mariners.
Close it by a diving Laurie. Good start to the 8th.
Nobody getting loose in the pen for the A's right now, and Franklin taking advantage of a hitter's count. Looked like a cut fastball, just didn't get it in on his hands, and he was able to hit it hard through the hole in the left side of the infield. So for Franklin Gutierrez, he's been able to solve the puzzle tonight. He's 2 for 3.
Brings up Mark Trumbo. He's seeing Kazmir for the 3rd time here tonight. It's at strike 1. He's popped to second and struck out.
Mark's had a tough time laying off that changeup tonight.
Good double play opportunity. Simeon, Zobrist, and Vogt. 6-4-3.
And that was on the changeup down. It's been a good pitch for Kazmir.
Hey, fans, this season, for every Mariners hit, Fred Hutch will receive a donation from Mariners Care. It's called Hits for the Hutch, and it's the Mariners' way of supporting the life-saving research taking place at Seattle's own Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center. Quick 2 outs. Logan Morrison, a couple of broken bat ground outs. Zobrist at second. They get the shift on against Lomo with Zobrist in short right field. Kazmir has been dominant. For just joining us, he retired the first 13 men that he faced perfect into the 5th inning for the Goody double. Closest he's been to issuing a free pass here tonight, 3-0. A couple strikeouts on 3-2 pitches. Back with a strike. Fifth 3-ball count tonight. First 3-0 count. And now 3-1 here. Three 2. A's 2-4 in this homestand. The Mariners are 3-2 on their road trip. This night has belonged to Scott Kazmir. He just got a piece of that. Seven strikeouts tonight.
And you can see the 12 ground ball outs, a lot of them coming on the changeup or the cutter. Oh,
right in the back. What?
93 miles an hour, and looks as if it squares him up right in the middle of the back.
Now batting, number 3, Mike Zunino.
Saw it coming, couldn't do anything about it. A 2-out base runner for the Mariners here in the 8th. Zunino found out to vote at first base and struck out. So he looks at ball 1. Struck out looking on a 3-2 pitch leading off in the 6th. One.
Edward Mahika getting loose in the bullpen for the Athletics. Casper now at 104 pitches, again his season high 111.
1-1 to Mike Z. Slow roller. Simeon get the easy out. That'll do it as we go to the bottom of the 8th, and it's all A's and Scott Kazmir 4-0 Oakland. Big catch tonight. What a haul he's brought in. Scott Kazmir, dominant from minute 1, Mike.
No, you're absolutely right. He's only given up a couple of hits tonight. Both of them the Franklin Gutierrez. He's been able to get it done with a good cut fastball and, of course, his changeup. His fastball location has been excellent, getting ahead of the hitters and then putting them away with the off-speed pitches. A lot of ground ball outs for him, along with the strikeouts tonight. On top of his game. Really done so far. 8 innings, just 2 hits. That has been it. Hasn't walked a batter. He did hit a batter, and that was Logan Morrison. 7 strikeouts for him, 105 pitches.
Joe Beimel takes over for the Mariners. Top of the order, Billy Burns. Burns is 0 for 3 tonight. 2 ground outs and a strikeout. On action tonight for Taylor in his first game back since being recalled from Tacoma. 1 away in the 8th. Make your voice heard. Nominate your favorite plays of the week by tweeting us using the hashtag RootFanFave. Each month, one lucky fan's going to win a Coors Light Refresherator just for participating. Official rules, visit rootsports.com. Here's up Stephen Vogt. 0 for 3. Likely a 2-run first inning double, homered by Simeon in the 5th, and an RBI triple in the 7th by Mark Canha, accounting for the Oakland runs. Mojica continues to warm up. Goes ahead 0-2. Mariners in the ninth will have 9-1 and 2 coming up. Chris Taylor, Austin Jackson, and Robinson Cano. Two. He's their guy, Stephen Vogt. It's a loyal group of fans. They have adopted Vogt. Has made his way to the big leagues. Great impersonation of basketball referees. 30-year-old, born in Visalia, California, lives in Tumwater, Washington. Drives one into the gap, and it's going to slice right back to Goody. Two outs here in the bottom of the eighth. 4-0 lead, and the series continues tomorrow as we check out our CenturyLink What's Next. Jay Happ against Jesse Chavez, Felix against Kendall Graveman, and the A's still to determine who will face Mike Montgomery, who is on an outstanding run. Back-to-back complete game shutouts. Complete game, what's that?
Don't see it very often today. Baseball, that's for sure. Nobody concerned about pitch counts, but Mike has been efficient in his 2 shutouts.
Athletics have 2 complete games. Mariners have 2 from Felix and 2 from Montgomery. 0-1 to Zobrist. That'll drop in for a base hit. It's a 1-for-3 night for Ben with a walk and a run scored. It brings up Billy Butler. First inning double and 2 groundouts to Kyle Seager, 1-for-3 on the run scored. Ball 1 to Billy.
About complete game shutouts. Kazmir, as a member of the A's, hasn't had one. Even as good as he has been for him, he's not had one. He's only had 1 complete game, and that was last year against the Tigers when he won 3-1. I don't think he's going to get an opportunity tonight. Mahika continues to throw out in the pen.
That's gonna happen.
Last shutout for Kazmir was back in 2006 when he was a member of the Devil Rays at the time.
2 outs and a man aboard here, bottom of the 8th. 2-1. Outstanding performance by Scott in his 8 innings of work. Back safely, Zobrist. One pitch outside, 3-1. Josh Fegley on deck. Final 3rd pitcher tonight for the Mariners. Here's a 3-1. And Billy Butler's aboard. 2 out, 2 on. just a second walk issued by Mariner pitching tonight. Zobrist walked in the first and scored on the Fegley double, and that's going to bring up Josh here in the eighth. A couple of men on. Down the line into the bullpen area. Strike one. Mariners will see Detroit next week. Pittsburgh beat them in Detroit tonight 8-4. Texas beat Baltimore earlier tonight 2-0. Houston was off. Toronto got smoked at home by Boston 12-6. Teams combined for 33 hits. One for three night for Fegley. And a 1-1 count. 2 on. Taylor with the backhand goes to Cano. And they get Billy Butler. Last ups for the Mariners in the ninth. Trailing 4-0. Chris Taylor, Austin Jackson, and Robinson Cano coming up. All right, Angie, thank you. Brad Miller going to pinch hit here, leading off the ninth. Pinch hit for Chris Taylor. Taylor went 0 for 2, couple of groundouts.
Edward Mojica going to take over for the Athletics, right-handed reliever. Tyler Clippard, closer for the Athletics, getting loose in the bullpen just in case. See what Brad has done as a pinch hitter this year, 1 for 3.
Breaking ball misses.
For Mojica on the year, a 3.97 ERA, his 22nd appearance, 17 strikeouts, 4 walks. He has given up 5 home runs.
A lot of movement on that pitch, 1-2. ball hit foul. Struck him out on some high heat. On the way.
Elevated fastball right at the top of the strike zone, just 89 miles an hour. Brad not able to catch up to it.
He from Valencia, Venezuela, Felix's hometown, 31 years old. Been with Cleveland, San Diego, Florida, St. Louis, most recently Boston. Right field, Reddick towards the line. 2 outs. So Lloyd McClendon's ball club down to its final out. Robinson Cano is going to be the hitter. Facing Mojica, came over from the Red Sox with cash. And the player to be named later back on May 9th.
Cano 0 for 3 tonight. Strikeout, couple of ground outs.
High ball right field. This will do it right here to Reddick. And this ball game's over. Dominant performance by Scott Kazmir. A little bit of help from Mojica. 4-0 final. Mariners offense not heard from at all except for the 2 hits from Franklin Gutierrez. Elias wasn't bad, but he just didn't get any help.
The problem is he gave up 2 runs in the first inning, and with the way Kazmir has been going here in Oakland, that was enough. But I think, again, the Mariners tonight, just offensively, you can see the 2 hits right there. They only had 1 runner in scoring position, and that was with 1 out in the double by Gutierrez back in the 5th inning. They left him stranded, and that was it.
Economical 2 hours and 17 minutes in front of a crowd of 13.